And in other news, of course, we pay for insurance, so we have a safety net if the worst happens.
But one Mid-South family found out the hard way that it doesn't necessarily mean you get what you deserve.
Or what you've been paying for. Sadler Bailey is the attorney on a jaw-dropping case we just had to tell you about. Sadler, welcome to Live at 9.
Thank you.
Last week, you got a jury verdict in a case that basically started with what? Tell us what happened.
Well, it's a very tragic case that became even more tragic because of our civil justice system. It all begins on Thanksgiving Day in 2010. And Corey and Chiquita Payne, they were divorced, but they were still friends, getting along well, and they were together driving a car down the road. Corey was driving. He lost control of the car. The car left the road and crashed into a concrete embankment, and both Corey and Chiquita were killed in this car wreck.
Okay.
These were not wealthy people. These were poor people. He did, however, have one asset. He had the minimum amount of insurance coverage under Tennessee law. He had a $25,000 policy.
Okay, stop right there just a second. Tennessee law does mandate that people have auto insurance and have at least $25,000 for what?
For liability insurance, so that if you cause an accident, you have $25,000 of insurance to cover the person who's injured through your conduct. Now, we don't require proof of that insurance when people get a license in Tennessee, and we have a big problem in Tennessee with a lot of people driving cars that don't have insurance.
But Corey was doing the right thing.
Corey was doing the right thing, and Corey had $25,000 in coverage. You would think that it would be a really simple matter under a tragic case like this for the estate of Mrs. Payne to simply call up the insurance company for the estate of Mr. Payne and say, hey, you've only got $25,000 policy. It was his fault. Just pay the $25,000 and let's be done with it.
Which would go to her children.
So with all that in mind, what complicates this matter then?
Well, what complicates the matter is that the response of the insurance company in this case was, no, we're not paying.
Did they give any reason?
They don't give a reason. They don't have to give a reason. But if you want to know the reason, it's simply one of economics, okay? They look at it this way. The most we can lose is $25,000. Thus, it's going to cost some law firm a lot of money to prepare this case, go through the trouble of doing this, go through 2 years of litigation. Most law firms would never do that, and so they're just going to give up. And in essence, this insurance company, if they take that approach with everyone, they are able to basically cheat 99 out of 100 people out of that $25,000.
So could this happen to you? Could this happen to me? Could this happen to anybody?
It could happen to anybody.
Does it happen a lot?
Happens all the time. Now, fortunately, in this case, my law firm was so incensed by this that we said, this is not going to happen to us. I want to make it clear, I'm not the lawyer that did this. My partner, Thomas Greer, took this case to trial. It was a 2-day trial. Now, remember, this happened November the 10th, November of 2010. So we're now over 2 years later. We get this case before a Memphis jury. The Memphis jury awards $500,000. The jury was out on this case about 45 minutes.
What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that this was an absolute, obvious, slam dunk case, and that there's something wrong with our system, that an insurance company has no incentive to just pay a claim.
They've been paying for.
But I have to ask you the obvious here. What about state law? Can that be changed? Do we need state lawmakers to look into this matter? What can be done there?
There are several things that could be done. All right, number one, in some states, there is prejudgment interest that is imposed in cases such as this.
And that means?
That means that instead of paying $25,000, instead of the insurance company getting the benefit of holding that money for 2 years, the interest on that would go to the plaintiff, the claimant, and that would create some disincentive for that insurance company. The best, of course, the best result would be that if they are going to litigate a case like this and a jury awards $500,000, $500,000, they ought to pay $500,000.
Because under Tennessee law, even though you got a jury verdict of $500,000, the insurance company still doesn't have to pay more than $25,000.
That's right.
No wonder they don't.
We get $25,000 for the children of Mrs. Payne.
So should people call their lawmaker, write their lawmaker? And what can people do?
Well, they can write their lawmaker. They can make sure that they check out the track record of people that they vote for and see what their record is with regard to civil justice issues. I mean, we have a mess here. And if I tell this story to most citizens, they would be shocked. They would say, oh, come on, a wrongful death case, a guy loses control of his car, the passenger is killed, and they offered nothing. Well, what's the real story here is not that they did something like that, but that's the way it's done all the time. There was nothing really unique about this. This is the way that it's done.
And Tennessee lawmakers can change
Obviously,
that.
time to make a change perhaps there. All right, Sadler, thank you very much for your time this morning.
And there's the information for Bailey and Greer. Thank you, Sadler. What a story.
All right.